so this, so when Alex Jones there, he said a boat came out on the little stream and it had an effigy. He didn't think it was real, but he said there was like a child wrapped in a swaddling cloth, and they extended a torch and lighted it on fire. And that's the cremation of care ceremony. Okay? And then they're reading this weird stuff out of like pamphlets or whatever, or books or whatever they're reading. They have all these cloaks on, like an eyes wide shut stuff. Okay. So anyway, he's investigating all of this stuff. Stan Monteith critiques his paper, so that was actually some good stuff that he wrote. But during the course of all of this, he's like, there's obvious, these people believe in the spiritual realm. The people that have the money, the people that have the power, they believe in the spiritual realm. Now they're not on the right side, so to speak. They're not like affirming, from my perspective would be Christ, or let's just say, following the Prophet Muhammad or something like that. They're into let's get into the occultic, let's get some power, let's get some stuff happening, let's get some things moving and shaking. And so the fact that they believed in it so strongly was compelling to him that there's something going on there. So
and they're putting in man hours, right?
Exactly.
Towards this cause. Yeah. Wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't working, right?
Something's going on there.
That's how I know that's low level. That Bohemian thing on video, that's low level,
compared to what's going on in the depth.
Yeah, because a high level will include an actual real child getting burned alive.
Yeah,
that's what the high level. Yeah, this is just a precursor, right? This is just a prequel. This is just to see are they mentally ready, to include them into full membership. Are they mentally ready? So let's do a mock type of thing, right? Yeah. So
well, it's fascinating. Islamic is in the New Testament when condemning other neighboring nations. He's like, look, do not sacrifice the children and all and put them through the fire, and don't do the stuff that these neighboring nations are doing. Don't do it. They were doing, and then there's extra biblical accounts of this kind of stuff going on. They banged their gongs so loud so they didn't hear the babies crying as they're being engulfed by flames, right? So they banged their gongs super loud to overtake the cries, right? As they're sacrificing their babies, right, under the gods, under these different, deities that they acknowledge. What's crazy about that is I think that's still going on. Now, obviously, people are going to think this to be controversial, not like me saying it, but I don't care. I think that's what abortion is. I think abortion is actually a large-scale level of that, and it's absolutely tragic. But that being said, take that, just check this out. What they're doing, the things that these
Andrew, don't talk about abortion that way.
Is so deviant that it gets to the point where, and I told Congress this over a year ago, and I don't do conspiracy rooms on here much. There's a lot of, it's very difficult, but there's a video that I saw, and I'm trying to find it for the life of me. I cannot find it. I want to so badly because it was the craziest video. It was like a court proceeding, some kind of official hearing where this guy, this guy, they're in an official, it looks like some sort of hearing, like some kind of, court proceeding, like some kind of whatever, a committee, right? And there's a guy, he's speaking just normal, casual, very articulate. He's laying out all of the stuff that's going on with missing people and children. And he's like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Dude, if you can find that, Sully, I'd be so thankful. But the guy, it's not even, here's what's crazy. It wasn't even speculating. It's not like, we need it. No, he's like, we're figuring out what groups are what groups are involved here. And then there is a massive networking going on of people at the highest level. The stuff he was saying was so insane.
I think he's talking about the police officer, Bill Guntherson.
He's like, yeah, we acknowledge this. We need to do something about this. This is obviously, it was just it was like passe almost. It was like, this is what's happening. There's massive sex trafficking going on. There's all of this stuff going on with children, adults also are missing, whatever. And it's on a huge scale, and it's infiltrating the highest levels of government. The elite, all this stuff. He's just open about this in a formal setting. It was the most insane video I've ever seen. Okay. That's a song. And his testimony from a guy that, people tried to discredit him and whatnot, but he said he was a Mason. He was the highest level Mason. They were doing all kinds of
Sweet with it, for that's by your side.
But they said the final thing that
for you will need it.
With Lucifer, or saying, I want to go back to the interview.
Looking at hair.
So he said that I think one of the things that he said was that their like the final unity initiation was the anus of a young child, and that would unite them with
Exactly.
whatever
That's
they say.
they do. They want you to commit the most horrible, horrifying acts to burn the bridge with God. They want you to burn that bridge forever, right? And then they'll help you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think obviously them being at the highest levels of of government and controlling various aspects of reality for us. I mean, as far as like our structures and all of the things we have going on, and then media control and everything like that. Yeah, certainly I do think like that's definitely something that seriously should make somebody question on that front. So it's kind of crazy, like I said, that he kind of came through it a different way. It wasn't like you. There's a whole lot of stuff on this.
About the way that things are going and how he is handling certain things, and I'm concerned about the economic impact because you are a landlord. You would be foolish to not be worried. Well, how are you?
I went to Russell's. You're all right.
Yeah, huh? You did?
That's very good, yeah. But they're closed for like 2 weeks in February.
Why? They have vacation?
Probably.
Yeah, God, that's my husband's addiction because he grew up there, as you know, so.
Tell them to go on 16th Street next. Friday's Pizza.
Oh, yeah. We just had a Jets Pizza open up? Oh, that's kind of good. That Detroit-style pizza? Interesting.
Do you like Beggars?
Then again, I didn't hear
Do
it.
you like Beggars Pizza?
I don't know that.
No. Domino's?
No.
That's just disgusting. That shit is disgusting.
Disgusting. No, that's not real pizza. That's pretend, That's why they can charge $2 a pie or something because it's pretend pizza. So, I don't know. Yeah. Chicago in the house here.
Yeah, it's time again because you're a low life thought.
Yes.
Chicago.
There you go. And we bonded, okay?
Yes, we did.
What can I tell you?
Shout out to the hood.
There you go. All right, I'm going to catch you later. I'm going to go get girl help.
All right, Lena. Nice talking to you. Be safe.
Nice talking to you. You too.
God bless you. I hope you're enjoying your vacation.
I mean, you're always accusing us of being an echo chamber. I invite you up to the stage to share a contrary opinion, and you start talking about how me and T are being too ethnic for you. And really, Anthony? Come on, bro. I recognize I'm tardy to the party, so I apologize. But have y'all asked the raccoons how they felt about our commander-in-chief feeling the need to get back on social media with such a disgusting post during Black History Month? Have y'all already discussed Anybody want to recap what they had to say? Anthony said that me and wait, that's not proper grammar. He said that some of us were being performative in inviting him to the stage, and he deflected. And I'm not sure what Notorious said. Notorious thought that he was giving us a compliment, and he said we were just like Donald Trump. So I guess that means he worships us, and he's going to send us cash apps. I don't know, but that was their response. So with everything we have going on in the world, Donald J. Trump feels need to be so present on social media. Are we honored by this? Are we gonna act like we don't see this? Is this fake outrage? Where are we? I'm just trying to figure out where's Waldo so I know how to respond. Pretty much. So this is random, y'all. But okay, Anthony, this up, down, goddamn. So now you want to come up. This is random, but there's a Facebook group that has tens of thousands of people. It's South Houston, which is more of has a large Hispanic people. So they are also equally outraged, y'all. Like, I'm just saying, everybody is having these conversations, and they actually called out Becky. This is just anecdotal, but I was just cracking up. They called out Becky for saying, I'm leaving this group because y'all just talk politics. This predominantly Hispanic group in Southeast Houston, and you're upset that we're talking about politics. Go back and defend your pedophile. So I'm just chuckling at all the responses. America is starting to say, oh, y'all are doing too much. So that's their only defense to Penny. They have no defense, and I'm glad that people are calling them out for their bullshit. I do agree, Kimberly. I am surprised because I've been monitoring just, here and there and everywhere. Like, there is such a huge marked difference to the response from what I'll say the Hispanic community, at least I can look at in Houston, his first administration versus the second time that he ran versus just this last year. He is royally pissing these people the fuck off, y'all, like crazy. So it's surprising because remember when he was like, oh, they're not sending their best, they're sending the rapists and the murderers. Like, there were people that were like, yeah, I agree, I got here the right way, But so I don't know what homeboy has did, but oh yeah, I'm seeing completely different responses about some. Anthony, you came back on stage. I'm assuming you wanted to say something.
Moments passed, I'm good.
All right, I agree, Quinn. They were all singing "They're Not Like Us" the whole time, and now look at that. It looks like the Republicans make no distinction between them and them. So they FO'd. So, oh well. I don't have any sympathy for them, but I am chuckling.
Well, Nikki, Biden told us that we weren't black anyway. So why should we focus on it, right?
He was on talking.
Y'all
keep trotting that out without the full context. Come on, Victoria.
Don't vote for me. It was envy, not academics.
Oh, I'm sorry, DJ Envy.
No, you good. It's all good. Put it all y'all blacks do. I voted for him, so I was black. And you ran. That's not true.
You were black too, Cricket.
Now you're outraged. He said That'd be crazy. Academics got that.
No, he referred. I'm sorry, y'all. I lumped them all together. Charlemagne, DJ. They're the DJs who podcast. That's what they are in my head. So they corrected me. I'm sorry. It was DJ Envy, not Academic.
Yeah, I think it was Envy. Yeah, we agree with him. Yeah, I actually agree with that one. So yeah, you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Yeah, we agreed with him. That's why he got 90% of the black vote.
If y'all are ready to pivot, Van mentioned this earlier about deliverables happening. Did y'all see the comments that Trump said that he would have to, I'm paraphrasing, rethink his immigration strategy? And that is also culminating in the removal of 700 ICE agents from Minnesota. So, I mean, is it too soon to say that we can take credit for that, or a collective we? Because when is the last time he's had to walk something back, right? Not his usual 24-hour thing, like, to manipulate the markets and everything else. But I mean, like, serious act, something that they've just been overly committed to. So I would definitely say that's a win. I think there was a clip to play if y'all are ready to move on. I'll see if I can find it again, where it talks about him saying, maybe we've been going too hard, basically. Shadow, all this man does is manipulate the markets, I swear to God. He sends out this dumbass tweet, the markets respond and reacts. Somebody makes a lot of money, and then he goes back to normal. It's so awkward. Just don't look at him, Shadow. You'll be fine. Well, and just to show y'all how ridiculous the markets are, how is one company down for saying that they're going to be making these, AI funding commitments, and then the company that they're saying that they're going to be working with, the stock actually went up? It's just so cuckoo, y'all. I'm just tired of them all collectively. Honestly, I'm about to get an IUL policy and start my own bank, to be honest. I'm tired of the market.
In 1930, Bobby Jones accomplished the greatest feat the game of golf has ever known. He won the British Amateur, the British Open.
Okay, all right. Did y'all already talk about this, Van and T? Or if not, I can play it. I've been out of commission the past few days on the app. Are y'all okay with me playing? It's like a 2-minute clip, or?
What is it about?
So Trump is saying that he may need a softer approach to immigration. So it would appear that everything that has happened, even when remember when
I mean, not that I'm accepting Daryl, but every day.
I'm not really speaking about that. I'm leaving the show.
But who's still around, Joe? Where are the Egyptians? Where are they?
Well, I ask myself that question every day. Where are they?
Yeah.
They were around. This is very
Where are the
open.
Vedics right now?
I don't know where the
I had a debate with the week now.
probably not from.
Oh, sorry, my bad. It's right.
Why don't people African the ones that have Jataveda, that group, do you debate with them at all?
Oh, absolutely. They despise my existence, some of them, because I'm not another Nathan. Yeah.
They're all Latins. So this attraction to like monotheism is
Not monotheism. They're not monotheistic, right? They're doing Neoplatonism because the English that's been given to them is Neoplatonic. So what they're doing is they're reading back into the Sanskrit English that has been Neoplatonized for them to read, right? And so now the question is, when you have an actual linguistic system like Sanskrit, which has an immune response that rejects Neoplatonism because it's an imprecise system, it doesn't know what it's saying, right? About language. It thinks language is just a tool or a means to some other thing. Then
Have you read this book, PhD? Have you read this book at the top, PhD?
I have heard of this hypothesis, maybe not the book itself, maybe it is the person themselves, but I've heard this thesis, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so you understand that once this
We're talking Alexandrian library stuff, right?
well, it's a little bit more than that.
Okay.
But it is talking about some kind of court system.
Yeah, they've had legal systems for millennia, long before Plato existed.
You're gonna win.
For example, the Indo-European language system. I think the Vedics would argue priests pouring libations is akin to people speaking in an assembly pouring a libation. We call it a symposium, right? Posium potion. That imagery is there in the words. So this language system was built in relation to the pouring of libations, pouring of abstraction, the word drink and treaty, for example, treat comes from the same root. So this kind of like institution of priests is about pouring forth treaties and contracts. And then the metaphysics of it, you can imagine why it's very important, because you're trying to secure something that is going to be stable in the future. Link back to actions and stuff, causality, things like that. So I think that legal tradition is already pre-Indo-European. And then the oldest Indo-European stuff that we do have is an articulation or a continuation of that older system. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, did you click the link above and actually see what this PDF document is about? Barth has some real jewels, some real gems of knowledge and understanding about how we got to where we're at right now. Do you believe in the past and the future, PhD, or is there only this thing called the eternal now? Which one is it?
Well, your past and present is happening in the now. Would you agree to that?
Right now.
So you have to use something in the present to invoke this thing called the past and the future, right?
Hello?
I didn't hear.
Right now.
You're kind of.
I drop bombs in here, right? And it takes them a little bit. And when I talk, they're like, "Oh, you're derailing." And it's not that I'm derailing. It's that I'm trying to be humble as much as possible. Okay, election, I really do. But then the frustration kind of gets the best of me at times. I freak the fuck out. But I have really freaked the fuck out. They just don't understand it. I just don't know how to put it in words for them. It's like one they were talking about quantum mechanics, right? And they said they all speak a specific language because they all have the way our minds work are totally different. So Feynman had this experiment that he used, and every time you count, right, you'd have to count in pairs of some kind, right? So while you're doing something else, so he would do his socks, when he's doing his laundry, right? And he's counting he's counting 60 seconds a minute. So what he would do is he would do however you count, right? Whatever visualization you have in your mind, whether if you're saying it, whether if you're seeing it, right? So you're counting to 60 seconds. But I would stand there with a stopwatch, and whatever number you got up to, let's say you got up to 57, that's your minute, right? Because I'm doing it with a watch. So as you're counting the minute, whoever you're counting it, you need to do other things. Right? So it's 60 seconds, and he's arranging his socks. So his socks are in pairs. Puts 3 sets. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and he's doing that as he's doing the 60 seconds. So the idea was for someone else to do the same thing. Count to 60, count to a minute. We'll find out when your minute is in the way you count. And then what were you doing? What can you do as you're counting up to the 60 seconds? Is it a visual? Are you saying it to yourself? So he would say the number in his head. He couldn't read while he was doing it, but his partner could read while he was counting the 60 seconds. So he asked his friend, how the fuck are you reading? Right? And the other guy is counting other things as he's counting another. So he said, how do you do that? And it's because some people have a visual of a number as they're doing it. Some people say it in their minds. So this process he's trying to figure out is we have to figure out how we come to the conclusions that we do. Are we saying it? Are we seeing it? Is it a feeling? And when we're explaining these things, a lot of times it's just a feeling. Or it's a visualization, a story, a memory, an understanding of something can also be the visual. Now I'm trying to describe to you my visual or the voice in my mind that's mixed in with other things. And Richard Feynman went over this. I'll post the video. It was amazing how he came to this conclusion. And I'm probably botching the story, but
Wait, what is the conclusion?
I'll put the video. What?
What's the conclusion?
Well, the conclusion is when you count to 60, what is going on in your mind? Do you see it? Is it a feeling or is it a visual? Are you counting? Are you seeing the numbers in your mind? Or is it just a feeling that you're saying, like you're doing this, to the minute, and then you say, okay, it's a minute. What is it that you're doing? So right now, when you count to 60, what do you see in your mind? Do you see a number? Or do you say the number in your mind? I say the number in my mind.
I'm saying the number.
I'm saying the number. But there's other people that visualize the number. They visualize the number so they could do amongst other things. If I'm saying it in my mind, the number, I can't read. But if I'm visualizing the number in my head, then I can read while I count to 60.
Yeah, that's how you speed read. They know. Yeah, that's how you speed read. You're not supposed to say the words. You're supposed to.
Exactly. So he's breaking down, finding this very complex science or very complex ideas that are very new that is very difficult to explain to one another. So they do this exercise with one another so they understand how they come to these, how they process information, how they explain it.
Well, with regards,
So how does that tie into what we were talking about?
well, let me.
Because when we're explaining these things at a high level, our visualization of the information that we have, we're trying to figure out. I'm trying to understand you. You're trying to understand me, right? How we came to that conclusion is going to be very different. You're saying to me, I'm explaining it to you perfectly, but you have a visual, and I haven't I'm saying it in my mind.
We got it. But what PhD was talking about, claiming that the translation into English is a retrograde of the original Sanskrit and thus a deformation and makes it into something.
When did I say that? I didn't say anything.
You said that it becomes Neoplatonic when you translate it into English out of the Sanskrit.
In relation to, let's say, translations of the Gita. I have models that actually look at 115 translations of the Gita in English, comparing it to the original Sanskrit. But they're not open source, dude. These are proprietary models. You got the paywall up. Yeah, of course, not just a paywall, Joe. Far more than that. And I can say with absolute definitive certainty, that there is more projection of missionaries into the text rather than what the text is saying by itself from within the Sanskrit world. For example, the word karma, right? If I ask you right now, Election, I give you 115 translators about a single verse about karma, what are they talking about? The first thing that's going to come into your mind is action. Right? They're just talking about action. Karma means action. It doesn't mean action. Karma refers specifically to the pouring of
No, but isn't it describing what you do as a cup, and you are a cup?
Can I just finish this? Can I just finish this? So your sense of what the word karma is has nothing to do with what the text is saying about what karma is. Now, that's not your fault.
That's called an opinion when you read it. No, it could be an opinion. Because when I think metaphorically, Megatron is trying to point out that we all think differently. And it's very difficult to have an alignment of what we're thinking individually, because it's like saying that my universe is identical to your universe. And it's not. There is a solipsistic type of perspective to life. We can't have total alignment. It's impossible.
Exactly.
And that's what Richard Feynman with the original, right?
That's what Richard Feynman was explaining with that experiment with his other colleagues.
Yeah, but you should at least try to be faithful to the original, right? Rather than saying, I don't need to care about the original.
What are you, a robot?
The original is. They're living 2,000 years later, my man.
So this is the beauty of the Megatron. The Sanskrit language is built in a way where it's exactly preserving the sense that is supposed to be preserved for thousands.
That's bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think he accepts that premise.
Bullshit. That you have every right as a biblical
Got it.
person to
Well,
be
that's your opinion. That's your opinion, PhD. It's your opinion. It's just your opinion. If you think that that's a fact, you should study the definition of an opinion versus the definition of a fact.
In my opinion, you should go speak to an indulgent.
Yeah, and I put the link at the top, right, Election? Yeah. I'm not doubting that you did.
I probably forgot what it was about. I just reset it.
Well, Megatron, I have a very interesting book in front of me called The Fish. And it's basically saying that Christianity existed prior to Jesus Christ's, existence. And I have to agree with it, that it's very mercurial and essentially Hermes. It's called Anubis Jesu. It's in the Greek Egyptian papyrus. And it says here that, let me see where it says it.
Trismegistus, great.
Yeah. And so I can read this too, but my point is that you in particular, Barth, love this topic, and Daniel, you two are so consistent with this, but I just don't see where you guys are going with this. Like, you could continue just introducing more and more information, and it becomes a research project and it's fun, but you don't even do rooms on replay. You're not building some type of research catalog. So clearly you guys are just like cats playing with balls. And
this is going into the collective unconscious, Brad. We don't need a replay.
oh, I see. So your opinion is that all of these conversations are being deposited into an ethereal reservoir, not any kind of storage device. Okay.
Prove me wrong, bro.
Yeah, I can prove you wrong very easily, and I'm doing it right now. Megatron here, the unemployed contractor who usually puts nails into wood, but now he's become the high holy priest of him and Daniel's Bible Quran, glorious study room. I can't understand it. Daniel Nero here usually is busy selling fraudulent car insurance policies or saying John Kitover fraudulently collected petition signatures. And all I can say is it's been going on for months to no aim or end. It's madness. Somebody had a family at some point here with responsibilities, but this is the problem with this information. It's like, the TikTok joke that or an AI joke that you thought you were talking to Justin Bieber, and now you're going on tour with Justin Bieber. So I'm just trying to say, Barth, you've done it again, you mad genius. How you and Daniel create such incredible content, I'll never know. What a delight. And thank you, PhD, for sharing your opinion.
You're very welcome. Take it and run.
But I will say the title of the room really cuts to the chase, which is we're talking about a book club here. And everyone has their opinions on the book club. And it's such a never-ending nonsense that this is why I'm basically a materialist or a Zen type of person, meaning there's so much subject that eventually you just get lost to it and you're not even involved in the object anymore. And so Megatron drops these little gems here and again. It would just be nice if Megatron could just drop gems all the time, and we could just be gem catchers. But unfortunately, you got to swim through a pool of poop to get to the shower, I think. Golden chalice at the top. Gotta have some skin in the game, I think.
Yeah. Well, you gotta sift through the bullshit first before people start to pick up on what you're putting down. So I think that's the main thing. But I don't need to record the rooms. If you don't remember it, because I'm gonna remember it. LSF is gonna remember it. I'm gonna retain it. If you don't retain the information, then that's your fucking problem. Then you're not really interested in these conversations. You really don't care about what we're talking about.
Well, this latest text is incredible, about Greek constitution.
This book on the top?
Yeah.
This book on the top is amazing. And I can't tell you. They just pass it by. They don't appreciate these types of things. I don't care if they don't appreciate it.
Yeah, it's amazing because it gives a quote in there that the Constitution is the soul of the country, and there's just so much information out there that it's unfortunate we won't even have enough time in our lives to enjoy it or get to it. I mean, we are living in such a propaganda psyop state that we're literally telling our attorney generals to arrest police and law enforcement. Like, we live in fucking clown world, and it's because people in our society don't read documents like this. Do you know only 1% of the U.S. population's ever read the Constitution? Less than 1%. So we don't have a Constitution because nobody's read it. And that's part of my critique of why I think, your room is glorious, but it could be more glorious if only you were to dedicate more time to reading, because people's opinions are worthless. That fucking PhD who told us his opinions, I would rather have him just read us from the fucking book, and then I'll formulate my own fucking opinion. I don't need his opinion about a book. Just read me the fucking book. Hello?
He's never read the book.
So you
Good old Darth Dawkins always fucking comes out. And you see, being around men like Darth, these guys never appreciated Darth. They never appreciated him. They kicked him to the curb. And let me tell you something, man. Darth is like fucking space years ahead of a lot of this shit. And he's, man, I mean, he really put a fucking, I just love the way he goes about things. I always loved the way he went about shit. Just fucking genius.
Yeah, he's never lost an argument.
He's never lost an argument, correct. In order to lose an argument, you need an opposing view. If the atheist gives the opposing view, I'm going to lose an argument. He's fighting ghosts. He's literally fighting a ghost. Dumbags. It's so fucking smart. Reading out of the Stanford Encyclopedia of Stanford Encyclopedia. Do you know all that shit in Stanford Encyclopedia? It's just like teachers posting the fucking papers of their students. not even anything that makes any sense. It's quoting. It's not fucking saying anything. That's just an opinion. Those are just old papers and opinion-based bullshit.
Because without God existing, his own self-disclosure.
It's not going to be any metaphysical background information. Take place here with facts.
Facts would just putatively exist in an environment of complete mystery. We wouldn't be able to know what is,
can, or cannot be. That's right. That's right. Good old fucking dark. Crap. You went outside? You went? Oh, you saw him?
Where is he these days? I haven't seen him for ages.
I haven't seen him either. I barely see him around. Him and PMARS, I think, had a fallout because, the student becomes the protege.
Is he still over on TikTok, man?
No, he keeps getting banned on TikTok because of his language. You need those clips. There's not going to be any metaphysical background information to take place for you to interpret facts. Facts really just exist in a metaphysical environment of complete nothingness. Yeah. Oh, what? Did it work? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Well, I guess my only criticism or complaint, I like to call Clown House a complainium or a Jewish complaint department, and it's that, you spend so much time dedicated to learning and reading and bringing up all this information. If you look at picture theory or film theory or, memory theory, it's better to store your work than it is to just, release it without any type of containment or cataloging or filing system. So I know you got the house going on and everything, but like if I click on the house and I scroll down, there's no rooms. And you go so hard, it would be nice if you actually built a community and the people who network within it, have more than just short-term dopamine and a little information. They've built a network of individuals interested in God, because supposedly, there's so much conflict between these different religions. PhD, the former speaker, he's Hindu and he loves the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. And you know what happens when you read that information? It's very smart and it creates a gnosis. And the Catholics know about the gnosis. And a lot of people know about this unity or non-duality state of mind, which feels great. But Jesus Christ can liberate the Gnostics. So it's like you can jump left or right or,
Not a complaint. Are you complaining?
No, what I'm saying is Megatron and Daniel here. See, I'm someone who likes to build, businesses, and all businesses ultimately are communication systems. And, banks don't produce anything. The Federal Reserve doesn't produce anything. It's just communication. And so I know. Yeah, I know, Regal. So are you. You're doing it again right now. You're projecting.
No.
Yeah, you're projecting. Yeah, you are. Your complaint about my complaint is what you did last year about my complaint.
You know what?
Hello?
I left the fucking app.
You did? Hello? I just heard you yesterday, the day before. A couple weeks ago, I hear you on the app all the time. And here you are again complaining. Welcome back to the complaining. Hello?
Right, the thing you're doing right now, you fucking retard.
You're complaining about my complaining.
Shit run me wrong.
You're complaining about my complaining. Isn't that a
So if you
complaint?
don't like it,
Hello?
fuck out and go make your own room.
Oh, I'll go make my own room. Okay, hello? Hello?
Right? Well, you have all these unsuccessful people giving you fucking advice, dude. I've watched you be very unsuccessful out here. Megatron just don't give a shit. It's probably why people like him and they gravitate towards this room. You know, he doesn't want to sit there and fucking record it. He's right. If anyone's interested, they'll go and check it out. So they can read it from the fucking.
Well, mental illness, I think, can be self-induced, and listening to schizophrenic people on this app talk about nothing can be detrimental to one's health and mental health, because intelligence and education are the opposite of a poor mental health. In fact, that could be one way to cure a poor mental health.
Well, what if it's the case that like it's really just entertaining at the day to watch grown men spurt the fuck out and act stupid and yell, and that is entertaining. Right?
Okay, point of order, moderator. I'm going to read something from a little book. It's just one sentence. It says, every event, including death, is only one more accretion to our experience, freely willed by ourselves from the beginning, and therefore predestined.
Can you tell us what that means?
Yeah, let me read it for you again, and then you use your integration and your understanding and comprehension to maybe try to tell me what you think it means. Every event, including death, is only one more accretion to our experience, freely willed by ourselves from the beginning, and therefore predestined.
Is that what you say to yourself to make yourself magically like dick hard for like a broad or something?
I don't think that that's what it means, but if that's what you think it means, well, then that's great for you.
Is that what you do? You want to for yourself?
Okay, moderators, I would like to prove that I'm not a schmuck, but Regal here is. Regal, go ahead and tell us one sentence, anything that's intelligent. Go ahead, I challenge you to make one intelligent statement.
It's funny when you're man. He's with you.
Okay, moderators, again, I'd like to prove that I'm not the schmuck here, but Regal is the schmuck. Regal, go ahead and say one intelligent thing.
Yeah, when's the last time you slept with a woman?
Is that projection?
Like, it's been a while, huh?
Sounds like projection to me.
Do you have this thing called, like, social skills?
Okay, I'll try to read you something else intelligent. It says, this verse declares that the old formula of magic, the Osiris, Adonis, Jesus, Marsyas, Dionysus, Atticus, etc. formula of the dying god is no longer efficacious. It rested on the ignorant belief that the sun died every day and every year, and that its resurrection was a miracle. The formula of the new eon recognizes Horus, the child crowned and conquering as God. We are all members of the body of God, the Son, and about our system is the ocean of space. The formula is then to be based upon these facts. Our evil, darkness, illusion, whatever one chooses to call it, is simply a phenomenon of accidental and temporary separateness. If you are walking in darkness, do not try to make the sun rise by self-sacrifice, but wait in confidence for the dawn and enjoy the pleasures of the night meanwhile. Now read the sacred words on the hilt of the dagger used by one of the dwarf henchmen of those who eat the baleful fish known as Nazarene. Dare not to stand upright, dare not to think or grow, dare not to use thy might, dare not to face thy foe, dare not to do thy will, dare not to love thy mate, dare not to live thy fill, be feeble, fool of fate. Whatever gets your dick hard.
This room. But whoever was just speaking now, what you just reading, can you tell me that was incredibly intelligent?
Yeah, it's smart. That's why I kept asking Regal here if he could say one intelligent thing. Oh, it's part of, I'm in a book club, and I usually meet with this Talmud Chacham on Thursdays at 10 Central. But for some reason, he's always driving cars with Somalians.
But what were you just reading?
A book. It's called The Fish. Go fish. Regal here is a schmuck. Megatron put a great link in the top. Check it out. You can read about Greek constitutional theory going back thousands of years, and then you can realize, oh my God, this is even more intelligent than what we have. What happened here? In 2026, we must be, how can they arrest the police? I don't understand it. But they're calling for the arrest of the police. These are law enforcement officers picking up narcotic trafficking murderers. Do you have any idea who Department of Homeland Security has arrested in the past, 90 days? They have a website now. You can actually see the illegal alien narcotic traffickers who they've arrested. And it's rampant. It's in every state, every town, everywhere. And everything that has come out about Epstein and his associates, and the fact that he's like totally intertwined with the Rothschild banking empire, it's fucking, we live in a parallel universe, and nobody actually knows or knew what was going on, globally. But anyways, I like reading books because books are intelligent. And, two of the most intelligent books ever written are the Bible, and other parts of the Bible. Definitely not the Glorious. Read that one. It's got some smart things in it, but it's not that smart. That's the fucked up part about it, is people just think it's the greatest. But if we were to have an intelligence index ascribed to each book, the Quran's gonna get like a D-. The Bible's definitely getting an A+. Hello?
When was the last time you slept with a woman?
Dude, you can't make this shit up. I literally just asked him the same question.
Dude, I wouldn't have even imagined that you would have asked him such a funny question. That's such a funny and creative question to ask somebody, like when they're saying something stupid. It's a great way it's like a kind of original way. Like most people don't think to do that, to like kind of make fun of somebody for being not sleeping with a woman. But it's actually a really creative way to do it. If somebody's saying something stupid, or if something that they're saying is making you feel stupid because you don't understand it, or you don't want to take the time to understand it, then you could say, when was the last time you had sex with a girl, faggot? And that's a great way to just shut them up. So I
Augustus.
No, you're not. Otherwise, this situation would never have arisen.
Yeah, was
I think I should go now.
It's like Mississippi, or
When was the
it's
last
like frantically ramble,
Hey,
random
seem like
things.
you're a faggot too.
It's always fun, random and
Well, my friend Regal here accused me of actually. My friend, Regal here accused me of doing the same thing that I did a year ago, and I'm a complete failure. But at least Barth Megatron, it has a successful room, and he doesn't need to record it because he's so successful. But my friend, I tried to demonstrate that Regal can't actually say anything intelligent. And my friend, this is why I claim that we have to just go back to books, because to spend my life talking to somebody like Regal who can't even say one intelligent sentence, it's like, what are you choosing to do with your time, John Kitover? Why are you choosing to spend your time talking to people like this, if not for some other reason? I can't understand it. Maybe I'm like making a film over here. Otherwise, there really would be no reason to talk to people like Regal. Anyways, I'm complete. Thanks, Regal.
Hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you? Because you sound like a faggot. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, my friend. Hello?
Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Please proceed, Doctor, my friend.
Okay, how am I promoting myself? Was I talking to you?
Hello?
You're promoting myself. Oh, you're mistaken. I was talking to this fucking cocksucker.
No self-promotion allowed. That's what I learned from Reddit for trying to promote all my content. Like, I read books and then I put them on YouTube and then I put it on Reddit, and then people delete me from Reddit and they say, sorry, sir, no self-promotion allowed. And I'm like, no self-promotion? Isn't the whole point of like trying to create a video that I made to like get people to watch? Aren't I trying to promote that? But like, what is the self part that they're claiming that I'm promoting? I just wrote a book. Hello?
Are you streaming this on YouTube right now?
Yeah, you're live on my YouTube channel, Regal. Otherwise, there's no way I'd be wasting my time talking to you and repeating myself like a year ago. Hello?
You're on YouTube streaming this right now?
Yeah, let me put the link in the chat for you. Please hold.
Yeah, give me the link so I can see how many people are watching right now. Yeah, how many people are calling you bald right now? How many people are saying? How many people are saying? How many people are saying bald, old shiny bald, shiny baldy?
See, you know why I also like filming myself? So, like, all the people who want to make fun of me or something can actually watch themselves talk about nothing. And then they're just like, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I am stupid.
Or maybe people that want to be involved in your social experiment.
Yeah, I know, but here you are talking to me live on my YouTube, not wanting to be a part of my social experiment. Hello?
Well, I guess I'm forced,
Yeah, that's because you have no power. You don't have a green bean, and you don't have anything intelligent to say. But that's okay. Link is in the chat. Hello?
Oh my. You couldn't be so much more right.
Generally,
He's gonna do like a free whistle carving workshop on the beach on a Saturday in May, beginning of June. Should it be at 9 a.m. or 1 p.m.?
do the 1 p.m. See, Regal, I'm not like making fun of you. I'm calling you a fool, actually, not stupid. I have to be careful with my terms because there's a big difference between stupid people and fools. And the fact of the matter is, I know that you can probably read, and therefore you're actually not stupid. Oh, welcome, El Normo. And so the point is, I can confirm that everyone actually has the same intelligence if you can read. Now, comprehension, yes, that's challenging, but with enough time and enough reading of the same material, eventually you will understand what you're actually reading. And so my point is we should be using this app differently, and we should force ourselves, or at least schedule the way we use this app. Otherwise, it's so unprofessional, so chaotic and schizo. It's literally, in my opinion, just causing people to neglect other important things in their lives. Like, for example, I took out the garbage yesterday, but it took me a couple extra days to take out that garbage because I'm so busy filming here and recording people wasting their time. And as a result, I ended up having garbage sitting on my floor for like a day that I should have taken out earlier. So
We are being hypnotized all the time because all communication is hypnosis, and it's up to you to choose what you want to be hypnotized with. This is no different than using Netflix or using Instagram or using Facebook or using YouTube. It's a question of where is your focus, concentration, and attention, and what what kind of content are you ingesting? I think studying God is great because I think God deals with intelligence. But the problem is there's too much debate. And the problem is on a conference call is the information transfer sucks. It's not a lot of gigabytes. But Megatron here, because he is a glorious, ultra Megatron, he put a link above. And if you gentlemen or ladies click it and briefly scan it, you will say to yourself, oh, fuck, this is a very smart book. A lot of shit I never even thought about or knew about. But here it is. And it's a hell of a lot more intelligent than all the stupid ESL opinions that you're going to hear on this app the longer you continue using it. Hello?
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, that's like me roasting. That's me roasting people. And if people here think that wasn't a roast, well, then you aren't on the inside of my joke. You're still very far away from the truth.
Hey, Copley.
Hey, Gray, how's it going, Gray?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What's new with you?
Nothing much. Same old church, job, same old routine, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
What about you?
Same old. Kids, life, fireworks.
That sounds fun. Wait, what happened to the guy who was reading the intelligence stuff? Did you move him down? Or yeah, he was moving himself down.
Hello? That's what he was doing. I fucking can't stand that shit. I fucking can't stand that.
Wait, why did you move him down then? Was there a reason? I mean, you can go and open up a room with them and hang out with them if you want and be Beavis and Butthead. Well, I would never do something like that. That sounds like a really bad waste of time. It's a really good idea. I mean, as long as he's here now. I mean, it's like fucking Fucksticks meets Cocksmack. I would never like open a room or spend time with that person in a room. Like, I would never do that because that's a huge waste of time. But
What? Hello?
he's here in this room. You might as well let him read. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's move on from this. What do you guys want to discuss here?
I like him, by the way. He's grown on me.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about, really, to be honest with you.
He said that whatever media you expose yourself to affects your mind. That's basically what he's saying.
Well, it's obviously retarded. It's obviously like the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
It's not dumb. It is obvious. It's obvious.
Yeah, bro.
So the whole 90s with the panic with video games or violent video games, like all the statistics and studies on that, on how children, teenagers, and adults consume specifically video games, for an example, actually demonstrate it to be quite the opposite. And I mean, if you're just reaching over to like videotaping yourself with videos or content that you actually want more available to you, isn't going to do much of anything.
I think you know what opposite means.
I mean, if you can come up with some sort of a study for that, I mean, I'd love to see it.
His point is that what you consume affects your mind. Do you disagree?
Yeah, if you don't have any self-control, sure. If you're an impulsive person with like a mental disorder, maybe.
It doesn't correlate with impulsivity.
How does that like rebuff? I'm sorry.
Impulsivity has to do with behavior. I'm talking about the effect of what you ingest on your mind.
Does it affect your behavior? So what are you talking about if not behavior?
That's a separate. We're not talking about behavior. We're talking about mind.
Okay. So does the mind influence behavior?
Of course.
Then they go
Okay.
like,
So
you fucking...
why are we exclusively talking about one thing when they both entail each other?
The fact that one thing affects another doesn't mean that the first thing changes the third thing. It's a separate question.
Oh, okay.
What is
This is retarded.
Yeah. It's not retarded, but it might be a little bit complex if you're not used to thinking.
Well, you're used to like just making shit up. You can make shit up if you want.
Nobody's used to making shit up. He made a simple point. What you ingest affects your mind. It's sort of inarguable. Now, you might ask that intelligent question. What is that effect? That's a bigger conversation. And then you might ask another question, which is the third question. How does what you ingest affect your behavior? Now, the latter question is not very conclusive, as you suggested, from the whole video game panic. But it's inarguable that what you take in affects your mind. It's obvious. What books you read, what television you watch, what social media you ingest, what video games you play. They do have.
I just simply agree then.
Of course.
It's obvious.
Right. But Regal was making the point
You
that
make it sound like you're making some sort of exclusive separate point that like negates what it is that I'm saying, but it's not. I mean, it's like
You're not really making your point. I don't think you're.
No, Regal went beyond that point and said that just because he watches a serial killer documentary doesn't mean he's going to go out and be a serial killer.
But nobody made that point. He was reacting to a straw man that was besides the point.
No.
you don't think environmental things affect the mind, right? Which way is it?
Yes, environmental things affect the mind. That's what he said.
Oh, okay. So where do we start here, the mind or the environment?
It's your choice.
Oh, okay.
Either way. You make a decision.
Yeah, see, do you see the shit? You can't make this shit up.
Well, no, you can't. Because you're not very creative. But
You're
again, if you want to know.
separate the two, and just you're acting like because you're dividing this into like more specific, nuanced topics, doesn't mean that we're not talking about the same thing as a whole. Is absolutely
I'm separating the questions because they're different.
Yeah, obviously. So you're acting as though they entail the whole conversation as a whole. That's like
They don't. They're separate questions.
like it's kind of like the obfuscating machine that likes to fuck case office.
It's not obfuscating it. It can clarify. Maybe it improves your aim. Maybe it makes you more creative. Maybe it makes you more
List more reasons why it could.
Well, let's not deal with the impossibles, right? Let's actually deal with reality. Let's not live in a world of like what's possible or necessary. Let's actually
deals with reality.
You can actually use philosophy like this on an everyday basis. So on an everyday basis, people are concerned with things like this affecting behavior. And you know that. But you're trying to separate this up as though it is. You're having some other kind of discussion.
You're saying you're concerned about affects behavior?
Whatever.
What do you mean, whatever? I'm trying to see what you're saying. Do you know what you're saying?
You know what he's saying. Come on, man. You know, he's been repeating it multiple times. So a normal, By the way, great. One day I would like to have a discussion with you on like atheism and like the existence of God.
Yeah,
I don't believe in atheism. I think it's a.
You don't believe it, but
I don't believe in atheism.
I don't think
That's cool.
No.
Yo, Matt. You and Beaver, like you put comments, you know, and politically correct, and then they call you out. Do they not bring you on stage? And
that's different, but that's incredibly weird.
but I've been recording Trump derangement syndrome rooms, and it's going pretty good because Trump really lives in people's brains and closets in like the back of a house somewhere, and they can't stop talking about Trump because he's essentially responsible for the arrests of all these illegal aliens. And if you go to the Department of Homeland Security website, they've released all the mugshots of all the criminals they arrested. You know how many narcotic traffickers there are? So it's like extreme organized international criminal gang members operating every major small town throughout the fucking country, and they're taking them down. And I'm sure it's only a small percentage of the total population. So this is a war. And you know, I live in a bubble. You live in a bubble. But when you travel this country and you see these small towns, because it's not just even international criminals. There's the national criminals, or the thugs that run the drug trade in some of these small towns. They are now competing against the international narcotic trafficking gangs. So it really is gang war, and it is over drugs, but it's also over other resources like public housing and food stamps and everything else that the government gives out. Like it is Hunger Games, but we've been invaded by illegal alien criminals who corner the market. But I suggest that we crush both aspects at the same time. They should expand the operations of ICE and DHS to take down more than just illegal alien criminals. They should also bring out the military in every major sanctuary city and do like guerrilla warfare against these people. Like do federal surges chaotically, unexpectedly, withdraw, and then come back in a greater force and just like keep surging randomly. And you know what's crazy is? I saw the Arabella report of who's funding all of the No Kings protests and a lot of these other organizations. How the fuck is Warren Buffett giving money to these organizations? Warren Buffett, like, you think he's some type of Republican conservative? No. The fuck? Him and Soros are funding these fuckers. How the fuck can Trump not just the Bible and Quran room? I make fun of these people a lot.
Like, I am neither a naturalist or a theist.
Oh, sort of like a deist, maybe?
No.
They kicked me off the stage.
I'm a lesbian.
So you suspend the judgment on the proposition that God exists, right?
Yes. How can I know for certain, right?
Well, you can still,
Hey everybody, I'm happy to be back. Thanks for bringing me back up. Don't mean to interrupt your fascinating disclosure. Thanks for bringing me back up. And I just want to say that again, I do have some controversial opinions and theories, but I'm going to go on mute and listen. But thanks for having me back up.
You could have just muted and listened then.
Yeah,
why did you tell us?
Why did you have to?
Oh, I just wanted to confirm that I was with... No! Hello? She asked me a question. I just wanted to be polite. I believe in polite society. Hello?
This guy's been over your house 10 times in a row. He's going to announce himself every time to take a shit.
Was that a projection or a disclosure? Regal, have you always been a good house guest with like friends and family members? Or have you ever been like...
Dude, tell us when you're going to like take a leak, you're like, hey, I got to fucking piss in your toilet. That's amazing.
Well, one time we couldn't get into my buddy's house, so I peed on the side of his house, and he told his parents, and his parents chewed me
You
out.
want to come over, buddy, and cross the streams with me? Is that what you said?
Is that a projection? You know, a lot of gay men on this app project a lot.
I thought you were going to mute up.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's true. I'm going to listen now. Thanks for the reminder, Greg. By the way, beautiful PTR. You are a beautiful woman. I can tell. And you're very intelligent.
30 seconds before you start to dance.
Excuse me, what was that, LSF? Mr. Green Bean? Oh, you're a big, powerful man with your big green bean? You're such a tough guy, Mr. LSF? Wow. What country are you from, sir? This isn't an ESL.
Well, the idea behind it is like, I think like a lot of people, when it comes to this, they're conflating between certainty and knowledge, right? So like an example, like a lot of cosmologists give about this, like for epistemic fallibility, is like, let's say you're crossing a bridge, right? Well, it's logically possible that the bridge can fall, that can break down, right? And so you can't really be absolutely certain when you cross the bridge that it's not going to fall. But you can still know that it's not going to fall. It's highly implausible.
Yeah, no, you're conflating belief and knowledge.
Oh, no.
Because can't know what exists.
So knowledge is usually defined before they get to your cases. I really like that definition though because it's very easy and simple. Justified true belief. So it is a belief that's justified and it's true, right? And so if you have sorry,
How do you say it's true?
well, like that's one of the conditions, the truth condition for a belief. In order for it to be warranted and to be construed as being knowledge.
To prove to be knowledge, it has to be true.
That's correct.
It could be a justified belief, but it doesn't make it true.
Oh yeah, so if you have like a justified belief, right? Let's say you have a justified belief, a belief that's justified, right? What's going to happen in that situation, right? Is that what's going to happen in that situation is that if the belief turns out to be true, right? Then it means that the belief that you had was actually knowledge, that you did actually know, right? And what the epistemic
Hermes, welcome.
Yes, human beings can have acquired knowledge.
Hermes, I've been listening to your disclosures, and I would not suggest you do an interview with Mr. PhD because, I don't like your political positions, but I don't think, I think you're still a cool guy, and, that's where I am, with like everybody on this earth. Like, if you're a cool muchacho, well, you know what? Like, you're a cool muchacho, but I would just say, don't make yourself the center of attention and just dedicate yourself to education, my friend.
I agree with you. I've been thinking about this. I was talking to Pro and Miss Nancy, and they, it's not going to help. It's definitely not going to help in any kind of way. They're going to take anything I say and just, twist it and whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to have to tell Pro that it's not going to be a good idea. I'm not going to do it. But you're right. At first I thought, hey, I have nothing to hide, right? But I thought about it and I was like, I've done this already once. And it didn't matter. People actually made it worse. They tried to make it worse. So yeah, I do agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the time that I spend on here reading books is always my most valuable time using this app. It really is like an English as a second language training app. And like I can prove it because you can listen to people live who are not native English speakers having long form conversations, basically fleshing out definitions of words. So you got to understand why this conference call app exists. A lot of people are here because they're looking up how to speak English and other associated terms. And they're here doing it. But I can actually read a very complicated book to you in English that they would be incapable of reading at the same speed at which I can read it. So there's like an information transfer happening. And it's not a lot of gigabytes, but you can post a link of a PDF with hundreds of pages, and then we've increased the information transfer significantly. But now we've also expanded the amount of time required to analyze that information. So that's how this conference call app functions from like a language communication perspective paradigm. And, I thank you for being here because you listened to me read books, yesterday or the day before. And, those were all Hermetic books. And we were reading about Hermes, and I'm sitting there looking at you, Hermes, and I'm like laughing because I'm like, isn't this crazy? I'm reading a book about Hermes Mercury, and there's like somebody in the audience named Hermes. I'm like, this is like, you can't, you can, I think it's just coincidence, but like, you can't possibly say that that's like possible that somebody would, Hermes is probably very popular, but the chances of all of that communication aligning with your name is, it's interesting, and not coincidental. So that's the cool thing about communication is it's not coincidental, or it is coincidental, and you see how these words are very important. The power to essentially control
situations through words is remarkable. You can insert any word into any situation, and the people listening to those words are forced to now entertain a completely different topic, which was never part of the original conversation. And so, it's the term is preconditions, and people essentially won't even have debates unless there's preconditions, and that's part of the problem because preconditions don't mean anything when you insert all the negatives that were removed prior to the uh, confirmed the confirmed communication. So anyways, do you know what the best way there's different magical tools, and these tools are still all part of communication. So the bell is really the best tool to have. It can create a punctuation or a dividing line, which is really just stop thinking, end your problems. Or the more you think, the more you speak, the further from the truth you're going to get. Because that line is that hermetic connection, above and below, below and above. So that's what it is. What do you think, Dr. Hermes?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I definitely enjoy when you read, and you're talking about it being coincidence with my name and stuff. I don't necessarily believe in coincidences. I think there's definitely some kind of purpose there. And I think there's definitely a reason why we met, why we do and hang out with each other on this app. Yeah, so I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like our political differences, I can show you the Department of Homeland Security website now, and you can individually judge all the people they arrested and say guilty, not guilty yourself. So until you do that, you're on very tentative ground with regards to your immigration law enforcement opinions. Because I've now seen the pictures of these muchachos, and they're not from America. They're here illegally. They're doing narcotics transactions. They're doing all types of illegal things, dangerous things, and they're dangerous predators. They're alpha males. They shouldn't be here. They're not part of our natural setting. They're here illegally, committing crimes, harming people, harming innocent people. So, I gotta say, I can show you the link. They published it yesterday. The DHS now has a mugshot booking website. You can view everybody in every state. You can filter it. There's filters on it. You can specifically look and filter. It's amazing. So, that's why I say, like, to slander a law enforcement officer who's risking his life. Yes, he's going to make a salary and a pension, but he's still doing very dangerous work with men who are not, not pushovers, man. These are tough motherfuckers who could kill you. And if they're given the chance to kill you versus be free, they will probably choose to kill you. So how can you say these people aren't, courageous in doing these apprehensions? Because I could show you thousands and thousands of very dangerous people. Very dangerous people, Hermes,
Okay, now, let me ask you a question, right? So, when you do see that not every one of these individuals, and I'm just referring to, like, the videos that people capture and post, right, on social media. And when we see video after video after video of, like, come on now, this guy or this woman is a criminal and a threat to our society, and they're not. I mean, you can clearly see, they might be a teacher, they might be a lawn care partner, whatever it is that they do, right? Maybe they're a plumber, or a electrician, or whatever. What do you think? I mean, do you think that every one of them was a criminal?
They have a prior case history. It's not like they're just giving them new charges. So they're all in databases. All this shit is in a database. And it's, going through the Epstein files, holy shit, dude, you got to go to this website.
I would actually spend time in my life to continue this research.
Let me share this with you. You do realize, I don't know, you may or may not, what they're doing is, let's say you go to court, right? For anything at all. You beat the case gets dismissed. The case, you're not convicted. You follow me? And then what they do, or immigration, because this is at the state level. So at the state level, you are not convicted. There in Chicago, as an example, right? And immigration comes behind these immigrants that got their case dismissed, and they tell them, well, we're still going to take it as a conviction, even though the state dismissed it. Isn't that illegal per our Constitution to do that?
Wait, what's the question again?
So here's the scenario. An immigrant, right, gets accused of whatever. He goes to court, he beats the case. The judge, the state judge, the criminal judge, dismisses the case, he's not convicted, right? So then immigration comes behind that and tells the immigrant, we don't
Yeah. You got to understand federal law trumps the state laws. That's in the founders' framework. You can't get away from the federals. The feds will always win.
But listen to this. This is what's happening. Very specific procedure of how they're doing it. So they tell you, we understand the state dismissed this case, but we're going to take it as a conviction. Now, what they've done is, that's called double jeopardy. Number two.
No, they're bringing new
process.
Hermes, they're bringing new charges though.
No, hear this out. What they say is, what they do is they don't give you due process. So it's not like they're going to retry you on what they just dismissed at the state level. And they don't, so they're not.
Listen, you got to look at it from the perspective of the person who is being charged by the law. They now have to dig into their pocket to resist that enforcement, even if it's automatic and summarily judged. It's the burden. This is the fucked up thing about the legal system, my friend. Without the shekels, without the dollars, there is no law. It takes lawyers to take your money, to go before a court, to get a court to sympathize with you, to give you a petition, of abstention, basically. Less than 1% read the Constitution, and less than 1/10 of 1% has ever looked what's on your dollar, and your 5, and your 10, and your 20, and your 50, and your 100. Those are legal instruments that declare that they can be used to pay public and private debt. But the thing is, the symbols on there are part of the Hermetic tradition. And that's what people aren't getting. It's right there in your pocket. The dollars have all the wisdom of the universe. Right there, our founders knew the secrets. They were very smart. And they had a lot of time, and they had access to all the sacred books. They had it. Dude, they were so rich. They had everything. And the British, because you got to look at it in terms of the outbreak of information and the publishing industry. Books were extremely popular, especially in 1900 to 1930. But really also the spiritual. There was definitely a new age spiritual movement in America in the 1920s. And I've got all of the evidence. The buildings.
Based on what you just said, sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead.
Based on what you said, you're right. That's why I'm looking for a civil attorney. And I was thinking about reaching out to Benjamin Gunny. He's the guy that got $300 million for the George Floyd family for wrongful death. And so, at the end of the day, I have a United States passport, a United States birth certificate. I can prove that I was born in Houston, Texas. Right? I'm a citizen of the U.S. And so the deportation, right, was completely BS, based on, just BS. And it was based on racism. There were so many people here, American citizens. A lot of them were naturalized, but there was many in my situation that were actually born and raised citizens. This is not the first time this has happened. Remember Operation Whipback and the Mexican Repatriation Act? That was in the 50s, and the other one was in the 30s. And they deported millions of Americans, Mexican Americans, Mexicans born in the U.S. So I hear you, brother. I hope that you use your voice to help innocent American citizens who have been caught up in this.
Well, that's your voice. I mean, I live stream myself, but I can also show you a lot of extremely dangerous individuals that I would call domestic terrorists who are illegal alien invaders dedicated to criminal conspiracy as well as, violent crime. And I can show you hundreds of innocent victims murdered by illegal alien terrorist invaders. And it's not controversial, in my opinion, to have that opinion, because you could talk to the parents of any of these young people that were murdered. They would say, yeah, like, I want that murderer capitally punished. I want that murderer murdered, or I want that murderer killed. And that's unfortunately not happening. In Illinois, we spend $600 million a year housing people on death row. $600 million a year. The state is $200 billion in debt. The city of Chicago is $200 billion in debt. The debt is going to sink the ship because it's like piling, invisible paperweights up. But Zen is here, and Lanisha and Neda, Shaggy, welcome. We're also live on X Spaces. We've been live streaming Clown House Rooms as we usually do. I listened in to Hermes have a one-on-one with Pro, and welcome, Shaggy. And Hermes, just told us a couple things. He said some things that he didn't give background to, made some assumptions that we knew about some situations that we didn't know about. But Shaggy, this is Jonathan Olson. Are you Irish, son?
The fuck? Do you remember my you really remember my name? But please don't say Clive, okay?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello?
So welcome to Clown House Roasts, where we roast you. Are you prepared to join the barbecue?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Oh my god.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Hi, thanks for calling 1-800-COMPLAINTS. How can we direct your call?
Wait, can you hear me?
Hello?
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 Hi, this is the Jewish Complaint Department. How can I direct your call? Hello?
Are you kidding me?
Hello? Hi, this is the Jewish Complaint Department. How can I direct your call? Hello? Hello?
What do you mean Jewish?
Hello?
What do you mean Jewish?
Hi, this is the Jewish Complaint Department. How can I direct your call? Welcome back to Clown House Roasts. This is a barbecue party. We're here to roast you. Can you pass me the coleslaw?
Are you trying to derp me here?
Derp me? Hello?
Yeah, you can't hear me. You can't hear me. You little rascal. You can't hear me.
Hello? Little rascal. Somebody called me a trickster the other day. They're like, yeah, just ignore him. He's a trickster. And then they went into all of these ways that I'm a trickster. And I was like, man, this is intense. Like, this guy really, really, is calling me out. And he's not wrong. I think I'm very much like Loki or something, like the mask, like Jim Carrey, gives you, trickster power.
I do love trickstery too, but I wasn't prepared for it right now. It's like I thought that you connected to me to another phone, to a Jewish compartment or something. I don't know. Some people do that. Put all people on another call. That they have it on a phone, they call a number, and they put the phone to the other phone. Right? Oh, come on.
Okay, so, I play music too. I don't just talk, and I read books, but I play music. So I'm going to play you a little song. I'm going to dedicate it to my friend Hermes here. I'd like to dedicate this song to my friend Hermes. And, I hope you get what you're looking for, which is always going to be satisfaction. Here we go.
I'm just saying, it's alive the whole time. It's not a question of if it's alive, it's where rights begin. Life begins at conception, rights begin at birth. Until then, you're under the sovereign rule of the person carrying you to term.
The will to live is imparted by the person carrying the child, right? Carrying the child. The will to live, the personhood, right, of that child.
So if I
Pre-viability, the only will that thing has is imparted by the mother.
It has no free will of its own. It doesn't have autonomy.
when does it have free will of its own?
Probably around age 8. So post-birth abortions all the way.
There you go. That's a position we can sell.
I would argue that will to live, comes at the point where, if a baby is going to be pulled out of the womb and take a breath, it has a will to live. Otherwise, it just lay there and suffocate, like it.
Yeah, I just think you guys are not willing to do the work. I think you're lazy.
The work to what?
You're not willing.
You do know that allowing, at a minimum, first trimester, actually prevents more childhood deaths and abortions. And it prevents women from being, gravely injured and not being able to have children in the future. So, if you're all about more babies, then you would support the right to, at least early term abortion and medically necessary abortions.
I have, to that point, I had kids largely because my wife was able to have an abortion for a medical purpose. Without that being available, my 2 kids would make 16. So I like my kids. So fuck you, Benjamin, for wanting to kill my kids.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. I see it right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, stop trying to kill my kids.
Yeah, if we're talking about potential life, you have to weigh all the potential life and the quality of that life.
Oh, the quality, but no. So if people have a low quality of life, we should just take them into soil and green.
I think that once you're alive and on the earth, it's up to you to determine what your quality of life is.
Jesus Christ, leading it up to the baby, damn.
Poor Michaela's been twiddling away in the audience. We haven't even said hello. You've been there forever. What's up,
I'm just listening. I'm working and I'm seeing how Benjamin is going to handle this.
Well, I love that we're back on abortion when I was literally, Benjamin is unwilling to talk about the heritage
Hold on. I want to make sure that
to get women out of the workforce and stuck in abusive marriages and not have access to economic independence. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's make really clear and plain for Benjamin that, you're on Team Michaela and she's just here to support you, Benjamin. So, are you comforted by that? Benjamin? Do you need help on your team? I know where Michaela stands. Michaela has a monster number 1. Okay. As far as I can tell, she prays to God and kills children based on that. So,
how's that different than your team number?
I don't know. Benjamin's definitely numbers at least been 3, I think it's 6.
Yeah, team number is like how many people in your circle, your professional whatever, are implicated or degrees of freedom away from that team.
That's unfortunate for me because I actually met and done business with Barrett Paulson, which links me to Henry Paulson, which links me to pretty
Careful with guilt by association. That's gonna spread.
So you start as baby killers and then you're off to pedo land. See, Benjamin, that's how it is.
Benjamin, I did want to talk to your thing before we say hello to Marshall and everybody, but I think whenever you do this stuffing or choke thing that you love to do, where you
anything that unless you're assuming that Trump is the sole person who can rectify that kind of most of the words which you just said in that sentence, Trump could not complete in a coherent sentence. So that we're on the same terms here. I would hope you'd agree to that. And the likeliness that he could rectify any of those things that you said any more than anybody else is only based on the opinion that you believe that he's a USA flag-waving guy, only he's pro-steel and pro-manufacturing, right? So that is the risk you want to do. You're right back at what I just said, which you basically ignored about everybody else in the country, and it positions you to be who I'm talking about. So I might as well speak directly to you. When an action has some kind of non-trivial probability of causing this irreversible institutional damage is what I'm talking about. The rational strategy is to minimize downside, not maximize and said to himself, there's nothing in the Constitution that allows the Supreme Court of the United States to decide the next president of the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States doesn't have a role. It is the Congress that has the role in validating whom the electors are. If the Supreme Court wants to tell me that I can't count the votes in Florida, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my electors to get on an airplane, go to Washington, D.C., and ask the Congress to decide whether my electors should be accepted or their electors be accepted. And maybe Congress can have a hearing, as Congress is authorized by the Constitution to decide questions such as this. I would offer, Al Gore would have been perfectly justified in saying, this is not a question for the Supreme Court of the United States. This is a question for Congress. Here's my electors. Go ask Congress.
Okay, so how does that begin? Hey, we have 4 people here claiming to be 2 people. How do you introduce that to the court, Benjamin?
They show up and they present a letter which says, in essence, the electors before you because the vote count did not conclude, if the votes were not counted, conversation. Dude, my fun point here is that both Bush and Gore were part of Skull and Bones. For real, dropping knowledge.
Oh shit, hold on, I got Epstein right here on
All my conspiracy friends wanted to say back to the who cares? Who cares what secret society they're in? If they're drinking blood, like whatever, who cares?
Yeah, let's all be ignorant.
It wasn't Epstein Island, but then there's also Sir Richard Branson Island.
Gone through all the other stuff, but it says the answer says yes, Congress has the right to challenge the electors. And at the point of challenge, the House goes into session, the Senate goes into session. If the two things can't be resolved, it's kicked to the courts. So electors sent by the states are not the sole province of the Well, that's not how the Constitution lays it out, and it was updated in 2022 for objections. The mechanism is if there's an objection to a slate of electors, the House goes into session, the Senate goes into session, a simple majority decides the objection. If it can't be resolved between the two bodies, the objection moves to the courts. So it isn't the sole province of the state to say who and what is going to be there. The state gets to send them. The Congress at that point, once they're sent, can make an objection to what the state done. And at that point, it goes to the House and the Senate. They take a simple vote. If it can't be resolved, it goes to the court. So it's not just a state.
And they say, hey, is this true? And then they go and ask the security people to verify basic due diligence.
We're talking about impersonating the electors, bro. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about people that impersonated the electors. We do know we're talking about the same thing, right?
Well, I was talking about before you brought up the issue of fake electors, the mechanism to challenge electors. That I wasn't getting into the fake electors. But here's the situation. If in the case, if there was objections raised in the Congress by the House and the Senate, and they could agree with the elections that the objection was sustainable, what do you do with the electors that are there if they're deemed unqualified to be there by the Congress? At what point, what do you do with them?
Why is that an issue when they illegally
It's an issue because it's part of the mechanism of the Congress. That's why
Congress has the security apparatus. Those are people who work at the NSA, CIA.
Now, the Congress has a vote. It's not a security apparatus that decides this. They go into session.
People do their due diligence.
Is this your best and brightest that you want to represent right here? Is that your best and brightest? Is it not that we're playing with? Even that's arguing for Donald Trump, and we know damn well what we're talking about. He sent a fake slate of electors and impersonated to be other human beings. And I'm telling you that is the first step in a constitutional crisis, having a president who's willing to do that. A second step is having an angry mob go to your own fucking capital, bro. That's what he did. And you're like, no problem.
No, what you guys was saying was basically this.
You're not nothing like that has ever happened.
Let me get my point out before you start talking.
They're not going to do that. They're just
You've been getting your point out. You're a dumbass.
Go ahead, Steve. Come on, get it out.
Well, what besides the base set of electors argument was going on here, and what was reiterated to me on more than one occasion was the Congress didn't have shit to say about what the state's done. And what I just brought back to you is, yes, the Congress is the final check, and here's their mechanism. And it's not some security agency. A security agency doesn't get to go into the House. It doesn't get to go into the Senate and vote. And at the point, if the objection was raised about a particular state, and there was a disqualification of those electors of DA, that was my point. Not this other point.
What if your president sent 4 people to shoot them instead? Would you start into this? Would you still be looking up and turning to page 15? Bro, he broke the law, right? The law, bro. You can't impersonate people. There's nowhere that you need to look in the Constitution to know that that threatens the Constitution when it's the freaking executive branch. Your executive branch is when the legislature understand what the problem is.
The nation was here.
Answer the question.
Let's say the person was there.
Hang on for just a minute, Steve. Answer the question that Bro asked me. No, Steve is not the best example I would pick. What I don't like about he's not being honest about why he voted for Trump. He's doing this thing where he's defending Trump at the nibbling ankles, and he's not saying why not. If you talk to my in-laws, the people in my family that voted for Trump, they'll be very honest why they voted for Trump. It says, look, we think that society ought to protect the weakest. We think babies are the weakest. And we see that issue is not a priority for the Democrats, and it's a priority for the Republicans. So we're going to vote for Republicans. That's pretty straightforward, and it's morally grounded. Steve is not making, in my opinion, a morally grounded argument. I don't know if that's because he doesn't have one or if he hasn't been honest. But he's just.
I got one.
He's degrading population. That's a good point, Benjamin.
Benjamin said it nicer. I was going to say the exact same thing as Benjamin, which is stunning. I was going to say, what do you really want Steve to win? Is it because you're racist? Is it because you think he's saving you taxes? Tell us why you're booty clapping for a guy who's trying to ruin the country, bro. Like, that's what I want to know. Once you
I'll take
He said he's ready to talk, bro. He's going to tell you.
It's the booty clap. Well, I'll tell you if you let me say it. Number one, I think the country has to be energy independent. I voted for that. Number two, the manufacturing base as a national security issue needs to be addressed. I've thought this for 20 or 30 years. That was another issue with going into bathrooms and stuff. I thought that was a moral issue that was letting too much crazy lane get into the greater society. That's the reason I voted for it. The idea that we are just going to print money, quantitative issue, that we're going to print money and we are not going to print.
Well, I missed what was the security? I heard you first, the third thing, but what security issue did you say? I missed it.
Well, the security, like I say, the security issue is the fact that our manufacturing base cannot take care of the necessary things we need to be a functioning economy. That's a huge issue for me that hasn't been addressed to
In a globalized world 5 years ago, that was not
was under 200 million, but now that we're like 350 million, there's not enough resources on the continent, right, to support manufacturing everything in the United States.
Well, another thing, you need strategic. I mean, if you go,
you know why we don't make microchips here? Not in lymphoma. Among other things, a lot of diseases are resulting. Watch the documentary about Samsung in South Korea and look at the cancer rates there. That's why we got rid of these industries. That's the
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Yes,
When you start following the computer in the
we don't do that
I started following the computer industry in 1980. When did you?
Carcinogenic.
I started following the computer industry in 1982. When did you?
Any sort of
Yeah, see, but it's changed greatly since then, and you don't don't seem to have
Well,
like.
no, I mean, I know the history of why it was offshore. I know the actual history behind this. The history behind this was like Fairchild, Intel, Texas Instruments, these were the big fabrication lab in the United States. All right, well, it was simple. Yeah, it was really hard to make microchips in a tropical climate, right? No. Yeah, lithography is difficult because parameter controls of the environment have to be precise. 50,000 drops fall down and you hit it with a laser and you vaporize it and that creates ultraviolet light strong enough to reflect off of a bunch of shit and make little microchips for you. And you think that that's not going to have toxic elements in it? Well, sure it's going to have toxic elements, but toxicity had nothing to do with it. Intel, Fairchild, oh no, they won. We were smart. They were shipped it overseas to save money, period. We didn't want to poison our soil. We didn't want to poison our water. Somebody put you in kindergarten here, I don't know what. And nobody's saying yes it is. Nobody's called bullshit on your line of reasoning, Steve. So I wanna talk about you pushing back on my argument in the hilariousness of what you've actually just done. I said it's a national security threat, it's a constitutional crisis, and you came back with bathroom security and convoluted. Our manufacturing base is what you think national crisis. You are exactly the kind of stupid listener who I am talking about because you can't get out of your own way because of the trans people, and you have put that in your mind on equal footing, and you are actually defending a constitutional crisis of a president who is a traitor because you have transgenders, probably because of your strong Christian. No, I've said that. That was the biggest bullshit lark I've heard in weeks. Whatever, dude. When I tell you credible threats to our entire country's security system, and Benjamin's looking for one of you to step up, and you come with the fucking traditional bullshit white male national. I have dared people in bathroom fucking moron shit. Yeah, back to the fucking cave you came from, Steve. You fucking there we go. Bullshit one. I mean, you could just like take. You can take it like that. Lying down on your fucking back, you bullshit fuck. That's I to the fucking back. I love that I got to see every professor. I think we're all very fortunate to see every professor. Thank you for your presence.
There's nothing worse than the I'm the nice, reasonable Southern white guy trope. Like, fuck that.
I feel like that's definitely a rough goodbye.
So the guy Steve, I think he gave 3 reasons why he voted for Trump. The second one I thought was pretty important. He said he voted for Trump for national security reasons, and I mean that's problematic. There's a big problem with that, and it has to do with AI and semiconductors. Okay, you guys probably heard about this one, but this doesn't get talked about.
If someone like him says national security, he's talking about brown people in this country. He doesn't want the brown people. It's just code for that. It really is. It's that simple.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, but we don't like the Chinese either.
That's also part of this. The Chinese are also part of the story I'm about to tell you right now. So, okay, here's the timeline of events, right? January 16th, 2025. A UAE linked investment vehicle streamed through the internet called REM Investment One signed an agreement to buy 49% of World Liberty Financial, which is a cryptocurrency company that Trump's family owns. Okay, we probably heard about this. And they spent, their investment was $500 million into this company that is owned by Trump's family, okay, cryptocurrency company. Okay, so they gave, this UAE company gave Trump personally, his family, $500 million, okay, $500 million. March, and then that was January 16th. January 20th, was inaugurated as president.
Elliot, we can't just print money.
Right. Well, this is complex. Okay. James, this is complex. So January 16th, the investment, and then January 20th, Trump was inaugurated as president. Then on March 21st, a couple months later, same year, the UAE formally committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment framework in the United States, involving sectors such as AI infrastructure, energy, semiconductors, and manufacturing. Okay, after meeting President Trump and National Security Advisor.
Can I add a detail to that? Can I add a detail to that? The last time the UAE or the Emirates, like basically that part of the Arabian Peninsula, made a trillion-something dollar commitment, they delivered on like less than 10% of it over the period of time that they committed to spend.
Fantastic. That's figures. Okay, then on May 15th, same year, the president was in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, where he announced over $200 billion in new U.S. UAE commercial deals during a state visit. Okay, that was May 15th. And then the next day, Chuck Stewart, they finalized plans in the UAE to build like some AI campus and expanded access to advanced U.S. AI chips. Okay, as part of a partnership between the UAE and the United States. Right, that's the timeline. Okay, so the reason why this is a national security concern is because before this happened, like it was U.S. policy before this not to share things like advanced U.S. chips, AI programs, and giving the UAE access to like U.S. manufacturing, like AI and chips and semiconductor stuff, because China has significant access to UAE markets and their economy overall. They have significant access to this. Okay. So this is a national security concern.
So you're basically saying that Trump sold our technology, our confidential intellectual property in the United States for $500 million and a fucking white elephant Boeing jet.
Yeah, I forgot about the fucking jet.
Even if you wanted that jet, you have to wait 10 years. So that's why it's even more fucked up. It's like, it's so exclusive, you can't even have it if you have the money.
Yeah, so here's a clean example of Trump and his family lining their own pockets at the expense of the national security of the United States. Okay, it's a clear example of that. That's what I wanted to say about like the chips and national security issues. That goes to Steve's point. Like if he's concerned about national security, why the fuck are you voting for Donald?
He's gonna keep
not to mention all this shit he probably tells Putin.
In Mar-a-Lago, the documents will be safe there. You see, like he's increasing our security by keeping his documents on his resort. Makes a lot of sense.
In a basement, like in a fucking bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, I remember that.
Where 13-year-olds are employed at the spa.
I think the reason, like, why all of this happens, like, people really argue for Trump from a certain kind of like demographic or whatever. It's like Bernie Sanders was really gaining momentum, and there were a lot of people that supported Bernie Sanders that stopped supporting the Democrat Party after Hillary Clinton won. And Noam Chomsky's talked about this. Trump kind of picked up a lot of the rhetoric that Bernie Sanders.
What do you call the Democrat Party?
Whatever. Democrat Party, whatever you. What are you gonna get all hot and bothered by?
You just told them.
It paints your comments in a certain way, whether you meant it or not, right? So the name of the organization is
somebody actually.
Right.
So I've been doing it for fun ever since Ben got all hot and bothered when somebody else did it before, because it's hilarious.
Okay, well, do Ben trolling in Ben's room. Anyway, it's the Democratic National Party, and if you want to shorten it, Democratic Party is the more appropriate thing. So, yeah.
Thank you. Nevertheless, Noam Chomsky mentioned it about that time, like, as Trump was picking up the talking points and the rhetoric that Bernie Sanders set forth, that Trump is going to take that rhetoric and manipulate a bunch of poor, disenfranchised people into voting for him. And it seems like he did a very good job. Coffee. Like it's just fascinating. Like I just picking up on the point that like someone was commenting about how many people support him, yet he doesn't really, and they use like foreign policy as their excuse. But it's just interesting how that relates to like the economic well-being of certain individuals, and how it seems like Donald Trump somehow manipulated a lot of poor, disenfranchised people into thinking that he was going to make their lives better. But all they've done is argue for him ever since, and not at all profited from anything he's done. But Trump coin made a lot of money.
I almost think it's like some sort of like self-esteem version of like a sunk cost fallacy, right? Like they put so much of their like identity and their value of their self into like supporting this guy, and now that it's obvious that he's been unsupportable from the beginning, they can't back away from it because they'd have to like basically degrade their own self-image. It's like build a freaking new one. Be a fucking Buddhist, you know?
He just came out and told you don't have to make up stuff. He was asked directly what it was, and he told you it's the trans thing, right? It's not that he's in some low economic state. He told you, I don't like them trans people. Neither does Trump. Yeah, right? They have something in common. That's part of what he can't publicly come out and say that in his everyday real life, but he can say it on Clubhouse, and people can pretend that he is some kind of an intellectual, or he's some downtrodden person who's down on his luck and can't put two nickels together. It's because he's a hater. That's what it is. He has hate in his soul, and everybody's sitting around like, no, keep spewing that. Let's pretend we're actually arguing.
Yeah. He absolutely supports the Constitution. He absolutely supports the Constitution and civil rights unless it benefits people that aren't like him.
So what do you think? What comes first, fear or hatred?
Well, contempt. Neither of those. Contempt does. So, can you imagine hating transgender people so much that you think voting for a pederast thief is the right option?
When did he start with that?
Just engaged in the circular squad because all the knowledge of actions that we just
How dare you? How dare you support the trans? This man is a racist, and he hates trans people. How can you support such a man? How dare you? Ambivalence!
When it comes down to the people I love and myself having existential threats placed over them, hanging over our heads, like, and I say this as a woman. I think Trump's a threat to women. Basically, I think the Heritage Foundation is a threat to women, and I don't. Can't we all just get along? Sort of like argument, like holds any water. It's useless. It's pointless, and it's a waste of time.
Can't we get all? He told you I'm transphobic. He didn't write it down in a business card, but he did everything but that. He answered the question when directly asked after LARPing for 15 minutes, because I was thinking exactly the same things, Benjamin. Just tell us why you're protecting this right person. Why do you need him to win? Like, whatever your bad idea is, it's Christianity, whatever it is, tell me why you need that to win. What's really the motivator? And he told you the motivator. He didn't really have a national security thing. That was just to get to point number 3. He didn't have 3 points. And he needed to have 2 in front of it, so he didn't sound absolutely terrible
as to was he exiled or?
Are you into punishment? Is that what do you?
No, what happened to him? I didn't see. Did he get kicked off stage or what happened, or did he leave?
He got moved to the audience.
Why? What happened?
Because I didn't like it.
I mean, he was being a d-bag.
So he got moved.
Sorry.
I mean, that's only fair because he's willing to throw people out of bathrooms just because he doesn't like them.
Exactly. I'm willing to bet has never in his life seen a trans person, and he certainly has not seen one in his men's bathroom.
You know, the thing is, most people
wouldn't know it. He'd be taking a shit, and he wouldn't know it. Because you're not running over to the stall next to you, go, hey, is there a penis in there? You're not doing that.
Hey,
most people that worry about trans people are white people in small dick.
Right. No, most people are afraid of these trans people. Don't live like I fucking work in WeHo, the gayest fucking city on the face of the earth. I barely interact with trans or even gay people. It's such a rare thing. Like, yeah, it happens occasionally. And if you like live in fucking dipshit Idaho or something, you're worried about trans people. Like, it's out of your mind. Like, you don't. Like, what? It's like a fan.
Not in any circles where you're in some kind of welcoming community where there's going to be trans people feeling comfortable to go to the bathroom while Steve is in there.
Is this a welcoming community?
Joe, why are you being a dickhead in the past?
Whoa!
Joe's a dickhead. Joe, you're a dickhead, Joe. Joe, you are a dickhead because you're too pussy to say what it is that's on your mind all the time. Why don't you just...
You guys are like really... Wow.
The chat. No, say what's on your mind. The stage is yours. Say it.
I said, is this a welcoming community?
Yes, Joe, it is bullshit.
Thank you, JC. Thank you, JCC. Thank you, JCC. Thank you, JCC, for answering the question one more time, Joe. Yes, I can. Thank you one more time. I can. Thank you, Romero. Cool.
Joe, just say this is a grievances. Say it.
Grievance? Do I have to have a grievance to participate? It sounds like you do.
It's obvious. You never want to say anything in public, bro. Like, once you
never want to say anything in public?
You're asking people to have a one-on-one talk with you. Like,
I said I like small rooms, too. It's nice to have one-on-ones in it.
Cool. You like small bathrooms, too?
I'm getting used to that, man. I mean, it's like there's a lot of gaslighting, a lot of, like, bullying.
It's not passive-aggressive, dude. I'm sure everyone who's ever met you told you you're passive-aggressive.
Whoa.
Actually, you're the one making insults and characters.
Thank you.
The same thing earlier. You don't seem to have the awareness.
Projection alert!
Awareness to figure that.
Projection alert!
With that, I'm going to move myself to the audience. Thank you so much. We have some smart people here. Thank you so much to the audience.
Here's theatrically falling on the sword. Tricky to this in just about every
Yeah, it's a really passive-aggressive move to go to the crowd.
Yeah, we should be.
And dude, the most passive aggressive guy I've ever met in my life.
Others probably not the mother.
We should be intolerant of people. We should be intolerant of people who are intolerant of other people. Like, what I mean by that specifically is like, like, do you acknowledge that trans people exist? Do they even exist?
No. People exist. But performative men that want to do performance shows in the bathrooms, those men don't exist. Those are called lawbreakers. Hello? Hello? Hello?
You have to accept the worst people in the world, right? I'm being sarcastic.
Make sure you don't come in the room when Colleen's here and I bought her. I'm sure that might make you too. You might catch a whiff of her pee-pee.
A pee-pee? You might get a whiff of a trans pee-pee, and that's the joy of a trans pee-pee. Oh, the joy of trans pee-pee.
Golden shower.
Hello? Hello?
He's talking about the plumbing, not the water supply.
Still fucking like aghast that that guy voted for Trump over national security concerns.
unbelievable. I mean, like all the trade, the terrorists, like the freaking strong arming. It's insane.
And energy independence, Trump is not responsible for energy independence. It's just ignorant. Just read a fucking book.
One report says that since Trump took office the second term, the federal government has lost over almost 100,000 jobs in the energy sector, specifically in the energy sector. That should worry people who are concerned about energy independence.
Well, yeah, but the goal is to keep brown people off of healthcare.
I was gonna say, I haven't checked on it. It's like, are they still doing the jobs? Because if he's fucking cancel all the grants on that, it's right there is a big problem.
All that mention have a class moment. It is really just poor people in general disdain poor, but specifically they just assume brown people are poor. So I'll let you that one. I'll concede your point. Oh, that's very cool of you. That's right. Police is merely a proxy for what really matters in class. Look, I think listen to me saying I have nuances here.
But like Tulsa, Oklahoma clearly proves you wrong, right? Because those people had meetings, had money.
I think, contrary to what Cora said earlier, you can care about women and also care about. I think you can care about people's rights and also care about.
Stop trying to kill my kids.
You can virtue signal about children too, Ben. You can use your word earlier because clearly it's virtue signaling because you don't have some kind of bond with those people. You don't know who they are. You're just imagining they're not even people yet. So while you're virtue signaling for the unborn people, you are correct. You can have general thoughts about the idea that you don't unborn potential people to be stolen of their potential and let women have their right to vote, right? What they want to do with their own body. You can still hold those two ideas too.
Just like you can hold the idea that you shouldn't be legislating things about that limit access to people based on immutable characteristics, right? And if there's a conflict between, say, women and trans women, that's about relationship building and interpersonal and integrated negotiation between the women and the trans women on a situational basis and on just like a more regional or local basis. And it shouldn't be like in ordinances and codified and all of that because, that kind of shit changes over time, right? Social interaction is not a law.
I wouldn't agree with your second point. There are cases where gender matters. And it's very lazy of you.
Gender or sex, Benjamin? Gender or sex?
And that's, I think, where you're being lazy. I'm not doing the work. It's a laissez about it.
Also, where does it say that gender never matters? Like, you put these words in people's mouths. It's weird. Benjamin, what decisions are so important that Jen has a big role in? Like, I get in governments and schools and hospitals that sex would matter more so than gender.
Well, just take one law in North Carolina as an example. It's a misdemeanor to threaten to assault somebody. I don't know what that means.
that way and get along just fine. That's just dumb. But that's your point. Criticize the North Carolina law.
Well, there you go. But are you going to do this for everything? You're just going to find all the places where...
Yeah, we fix laws all the time, right? Like,
Yeah,
laws,
we
fixing laws. We're always
fix all
taking race-loaded laws and gender-loaded laws. We do this all the time, and and we continue to do it. I think that's a good concept in our society.
I bet in reality, the prosecutors aren't charging differently based on sex. They're not.
This is because
They're probably being, and this is just like you have all sorts of laws on the books that never get enforced because they're dumb now.
Distinction in a state.
Just all the swords to be
Hold on, Benjamin. Wyatt's trying to say something. He's trying to say something before.
I'll be real quick. There's an important distinction between race and sex. Gender and sex. Gender obviously is a social construct. Sex is not. And on the race thing, Romero, to your point, versus classism. For other people who experience British countries, UK, etc., America is actually less classist than many European or British colonies or countries.
Correct. You make up for it in racist stuff. Exactly.
Whoever mentioned that was kind of interesting. I'm trying to remember, what was the name of the Labor MP, Corbyn or whatever, like the night before the results for Corbyn or whatever. It was interesting. I was at like a dinner party, and someone was saying it's starting to flip-flop, like in the UK, where lots of blast launches, but in the US, it's becoming what UK used to be. And that's good surge. But imagine, I know what things was like in British colonies other than the US. I'd like to know more about that.
UK, classes of these things. It's entrenched in us.
Yeah, but in the United States, it's interesting and strange, and it's weird that, like, you run for a title of nobility and you get to keep it for life. Like, to be a senator, you're always addressed as a...
One of the ways classism comes out, and you see it in colleges as well, UK, is accents. Like, people distinguish who you are, determine who you are based on the accent that you have.
Yeah, but it was an interesting dynamic. This person was saying it's starting to swing the other way. The United States is behaving like UK in the 20th century and early 20th century and late Victorian and Edwardian and all this. And the UK is starting to become more egalitarian.
Well, other than their speech laws, right? Like, you can be arrested for saying Free Palestine in public or online.
Where? Here?
In the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. No, like the UK is falling greatly in terms of speech laws.
Germany's a little touchy about certain words too.
Well, yeah, but they have good reason to censor Nazism, right? Or like, they kind of took it a little too far.
Elon would have been prosecuted for what he did at the Republican convention. Symbolism.
Yes, he would have.
That would be interesting if they placed those charges with soldiers in Germany, but they really impacted that one. That'd be interesting. I don't know about, like, German law is really complicated. I wonder what this kind of creation is all about.
Freedom of speech is good, and the right to insult religions, people's ideologies, like, that's all good. Right? It's when it becomes an action that it can get really dangerous.
There's an interesting thing I learned from the rector at, like, a British American church, like, you're free to do what you want, but you live with the consequences. I think that's an interesting way to see it. And I freedom of speech in the U.S. It's very strange. We need to reenact America as a culture, like we need to have difficult discussions and discuss them civilly.
I think Marilyn Manson said it best. He said that free speech does not come with a dental plan. Okay.
I just want to say thanks. I just want to say thanks, guys, for this. I was really this project in humanity today. I mean, I posted the Martin Luther King quote. I mean, it's in the end, he's not the attacker your enemies, but I mean, it's silence from your friends. So I'm glad to hear people actually speaking out against this bullshit.
Where can we watch the Trump? I heard about like this really, really sketchy video. I got a dog thing myself. I'm like considering one of the best videos. Thankfully, I have some tips of coverage.
La Jolla?
No, it's not something like
Orange County?
Fat fuck.
Huntington Beach.
Those big old people.
There we go. Well, 3 tries.
It sounds strange, like it's a surfer town. I don't know. It's just on. Like it's where like rallies are held.
I don't know that's about it's very left leaning, but yeah, around there, I didn't understand how it's like saying that like this is like a New Hampshire beach town with all the like conservative stuff.
My culture has changed really suddenly.
You would think surfers would be like a chill group. It is the most wound up, like angsty, aggressive group of people. Like I didn't surf for a long time just because of surfers. It's like a horrible crowd.
Where? Like, well, I mean, I know like Hawaii, it's pretty hardcore. I know that like parts of LA and certain parts of San Diego get that way, but like for the most part, like SD surfers for the most part are pretty high.
If you go to beach trips are usually if you go to a Point Break and it's good, gonna get yelled at if you're from there. Like Poundline steamers or we didn't see in San Diego or Malibu or any cool Point Breaks.
Black's
Beach, you know, and Black's is awesome, but Black's is world class. Bunch of places in Santa Cruz, like I know cars get broken into regularly just because they're not from around the place, but it's just.
Well, the cars get broken into in Santa Cruz, any like period.
Yeah, I never got my car broken into.
That's been a strange thing.
Always wanted. What time is she always wanted?
I mean, in San Francisco, like people will literally break your window for like $8 bill, right? Like I used to live in San Francisco, and I can count in one hand. Well, in a period of 20 years, I probably changed windows, I don't know, 5 times.
Never got any car damage in San Francisco or Santa Cruz, but I did get my car in Berkeley. And got a car stolen once in Berkeley.
LA is like a surprisingly like what's the word? Kind of like cozy and comfy city compared to its reputation. It's naturally like one of the unprettiest like couple cities in the world, but it's really not like that. I guess unless you end up somewhere sketchy and throw an accident, then it is another friendly place.
Well, like if you live in San Francisco for like 6 months to a year, right, you learn the street rules really well because it's enforced, right? So like when you park your car, you don't have any suitcases, any backpacks, any laptops, anything. You leave it basically clean inside, right? Or you have it as filthy as you can, and that usually saves you from getting broken into. There's also another sort of unspoken rule in San Francisco that you always have to scan, 2 to 3 feet in front of you.
Does it look like your license is double vax, triple boosted?
It's just another sort of unspoken rule.
Top reps bringing 100 million a year.
The don't engage the homeless people that are losing their shit because
let's have a chat about street smarts in the city. I don't know who has enough street smarts yet. I just hang out around Rockford and I love it.
I feel a little obligated to defend service, but I'm there a lot. But there are definitely sketchy areas, or not. Actually, I never feel sketchy. It's not like I felt. I don't feel at risk in San Francisco in a way that I might in like certain parts of New York, or used to anyways. But there is just this like weird element that San Franciscans seem to be willing to coexist with. It's like, dude, that should not be okay. Dude, I've seen people shoot up.
It's true, American.
But dude's got a needle in his arm, like people walking by, like it's weird. But then New Yorkers put the weird shit on the subways, like. Back.
These are just like things that are true for like every large metro area in the United States, and probably on the entire planet, I would say.
I noticed a lot. Like the complaints I hear about San Francisco, like any big town, I see that stuff in any state, to some extent.
Man, the trains, Amsterdam, London, Budapest. I don't know what you're talking about. And what's like street smarts for billionaires? I guess that's another reason why Trump is so out of touch from reality. Like, have at least 7 bodyguards informing a felon.
You have a driver and you don't actually exist on the street. You just go from one building to another.
No, not driver, help a governor.
Yeah, because you might get, somebody might understand all the bad things that you've done and put you to death. Like Brian Thompson.
Yeah, it's not a very like down to earth kind of existence. Yeah, Trump is very, and he feels like he gets the content. Like he's really distanced from that reality. Because helicopters around the house.
I read that like the CEOs of especially large companies have really begun to investing more in like very personal security details and other types of things after Brian Thompson was killed in the streets.
I mean, that's the thing, right? We're one of the most armed countries in the world in terms of civilians, and we also have the widening gap between the wealthy and everybody else, right? Like this all seems like when that happened, it almost felt inevitable, right? It does feel inevitable to me that at some point heads roll. And I think that the upper class played their hand a little too blatantly, and that pushback was naturally going to happen.
With the statistics on that, when they were about the correlation between wealth inequality and distribution and crime.
I don't know the statistics, but yeah, like places that have poverty tend to have harsher policing and more crime.
Here's that one. I mean, what the data played out is that a lot of people are related when that poor area is within proximity of a wealthy area. So within a particular region, if there are more poor people, it might actually be less crime than if it was a small amount of poor people or closely distributed between rich and poor.
I mean, that makes sense. And let me clarify something that like the kind of crime that happens in poverty happens to people in poverty, right? It's crimes against them for the most part. So I just want to be really clear about that.
There's definitely more cases of executive protection because I mean these, especially with all the layoffs that are happening and displacement, things like that again.
Yeah, some of the mercenary companies like Rockford Peoria, we're really building a
dystopia fast. Like, and we really have the technology for a utopia, but dystopia really doesn't exist.
Oh, huge shit.
It was built.
Huge shit.
It was built.
Huge shits. People that eat huge amounts of food make huge shits. It's one thing people don't ever think about.
Like the 90s, about the dystopian future. So go on, Corin.
We don't have the skin color changing technology. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Not yet.
I mean, I always wanted to be like, sort of like iridescent, like lavender. That would be kind of cool.
I think that would be cool. Old man with the healthcare shorting the CEO. It's not just that it happened; it's that so many people agree with it. I'm like, okay, one less.
Can't normalize death. Doesn't matter. Didn't have to shower to tell you that.
Well, but I think normalized should not, or that. Sorry, say it again.
I just said you never win when you normalize death. It doesn't matter where you fall. Well,
I
would say that
Violently, you never hear about, though. Basically, you only hear about the death of people with publicists for the most part, or blonde women with children, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying whether I agree with it or not. Definitely not. I mean, I was just saying it's interesting how the temperature regarding death has changed. And there's a lot of cultures who will normalize death in different ways. I think one of the sad cases I found out about when insurance was in China, there was a thing called it was an insurance. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but basically what would happen is that
Huge shit.
if you committed a crime against someone and caused physical damage or a handicap or disability or whatever, you would be responsible for that person's welfare for the rest of their life. So what would happen is that a lot of people, whenever they did cause harm to a particular individual, like in a car accident or whatever, they would make sure that they actually die. The reason being, at least it would just be one payout versus full life responsibility.
damn.
People like, for example, you got hit on the street, they would reverse the car over the person to make sure that it actually died.
God damn. It's like the Dave Chappelle piece that he did on OJ. Right. When Nicole was killed, he's like, look, I didn't condone it. He's just saying he understands it. It's the same thing with the insurance case. I mean, in some ways, right, death is completely normalized in the United States. It just depends on who's dying, right? So, like, if a lot more people die because they don't have access to healthcare, that's part of the plan, and everyone's cool with it, except for the people that aren't. Right? But you shoot one CEO, and everybody loses their shit. Or but I mean, conceptually, right? Like that's true. That violence from the oligarchs, from the wealthy, from the government to the poor is completely normalized and mostly accepted in society. And the few times that there's been a real pushback, right? You get gun laws in California. Gun laws happen when people who normally discriminate the civil rights era. Like what was like one of the first things that Ronald Reagan tried to do when he got into office was to, take their guns away.
Exactly what I was thinking. We got to stop political violence and stop the oligarchy with regulation.
The other thing too about like death broadly is that like what you guys are saying is true. Like of course it's actually like think about like Renee Good and Alex Reddy. Okay, they're like very public cases involving death that everybody knows about, regardless of what your views are about it. Everybody is aware of these two cases. But there are other cases that people just aren't aware of. Like there's a Hispanic woman who was shot 7 times by Border Patrol, survived, and speaking about it. And like nobody even knows who this person is. I mean, like generally in the public realm, people aren't even aware of this. And there's other things like there's people that are from Haiti were in the United States. They were deported and sent back to Haiti pretty recently. And some of these people have been dismembered and decapitated, raped, and assaulted. Okay, they're dead. Just gang violence, and I don't know how. Specifically, the thing that they were fleeing from. This is why we have asylum laws to begin with. And it's examples like this that just don't seem to permeate through the air as much as like Alex Brady or Renee Good. And perhaps we ought to do something.
Well, when you have a group of people who would turn to you and say, well, they were here illegal, right? So they were criminals, right? So that's just what happens to criminals, right? But when it's one of them, right, all sorts of excuses. Oh, well, they were just exercising their constitutional rights on January 6th. I mean, that wasn't a coup. That wasn't an attempt to do away with our democracy. So it's like, because it's so weighted by team membership, right? That makes it sort of an issue that's really hard to sort of reconcile with. Think about this in private schools all the time. Think about like most shootings are in public schools and not in private schools. And unfortunately, if the shootings were there, it would probably change a lot more elite opinion, especially on the gun control advocate side, to do something. Not that I'm wishing that, but it's far from it. But I can't believe